Hey, Sam, you come up with that intro line?
You didn't tell me that was today.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Writer's Room with Sam and Jim. This is the show where we bring aspiring writers into our writer's room to help them work on and develop their story. And we're going to do that with Annette DeLorean in just a minute. But before we get to that, Sam just has to go off about something. Sam, what you got?
I don't think anybody really knows what we go through when it comes to product placement.
Oh, you could have inserted any number of things there, but keep going.
Everyone I think knows what product placement is, where, product companies pay television shows to put products in their television shows.
Yeah.
We have done this 100 times. And you might think that I'm going to rant about how it destroys the creative vision of the show.
What about our integrity, Sam?
Our integrity, all of that, because God knows people have rightfully talked about that. But actually, that's not what I want to talk about today, although I would like to take a moment to talk about the worst case of product placement ever in television that I personally have witnessed, which was first season of Heroes, when Hayden Panettiere, am I saying her name? Panettiere? She and her father are walking out of some nice, cool Heroes moment into the parking lot, and he's bought her a car. And she goes to the car and she says, "Oh my God, you bought me a Rogue, a Nissan Rogue." And then they talked about it for about 3 or 4 lines of dialogue.
Yeah.
And I liked that show a lot, and I remember just being pulled out of the moment and so infuriated.
Yeah.
Not as a writer, just as a viewer. Of how egregious it was. And the companies have gotten a lot better about it. And
there's a lot of unspoken. Like at that same time in 24, I remember, I think it was Ford or GMC, one of the car companies. Like every vehicle, it was the same big black SUV, and you saw it everywhere, and you always caught the badge.
Right.
But they never said anything about it.
Right. And that much better. But the thing that people don't know is how the writers get involved on this.
Oh, yeah.
And that is the part that it's an experience. And I'll tell you what, and you've been through this with me. First of all, the big come on is, hey, so-and-so car company, computer company, phone company, pizza company, whatever, is going to give us, I'm picking a number, $50,000 to be on the show, $100,000 to be on the show. And the first thing you hear is, and you think is, $100,000, that could get us another location or 5, or that can get the big finale. We'll throw that into that bucket.
VFX money.
Right. This is a total lie, because that money, somehow when it comes, it disappears into the ether of accounting, and then it's not a line item like, hey, look at the finale, we got an extra $100,000, we can do this really cool thing. Have you ever seen it show up in a budget?
No. It's not like an Amazon gift card. We're just like, okay, I'm going to charge this stunt to our product placement.
That's right. It falls between the cushions of Hollywood accounting. But more than that is when they come to the writers, and we have to actually get involved in this and somehow write. We've done it 2 ways, more than 2 ways, but one of the ways is the most egregious is when we have to write the pitch to the company of how we're going to do it to kind of get this money that we are never going to be able to spend.
It's a little love letter to usually a car company, sometimes other things like, these are the things we can do with your car. Right. We'll have this character use this model of your car for this, and this other character do that model, and we'll shoot a couple scenes where they're in the car.
And then maybe, let's say they go for it. Or let's say they approached us. Who knows? Now we have to figure out how to put that damn car or that thing in the scenes so that it's not egregious and we don't have people jumping off their couches, holding their noses, and rightfully so, because they've already paid their X number of dollars to their streaming service or their network or their cable or whatever, and now they have to have a commercial right in the middle of their scene and take them out of it. And that requires meetings with the directors. And then sometimes the writer has to be on set to make sure that we get the faceplate or the this or the that. And we should be clear, everything on television that has a brand name on it has either been cleared and we've been given permission to use it, even though no money has been exchanging hands, or somebody has paid somebody some money. And I don't know, am I irate? Now I'm thinking that I'm just irate that we didn't get the money. I don't think there's anything noble about this at all. But I just wanted to go off and say, I'm glad things have gotten better. It's not as egregious as it used to be. But behind the scenes, there's this whole mini industry of all these writers running around.
Oh, and then you don't get the money sometimes. You go through the whole pitch. You write the love letter to the company, and then they don't actually, you never hear about it again. They never actually take you up on the deal.
Oh, you're going back, though. You're going back to, that's if it never happens. Yes,
Right.
that happens a lot too, where we actually write the whole proposal and then nothing ever happens. And meanwhile, we still have that script, that draft due on Tuesday,
Right.
and we just took
And it's all taking place in the front seat of a car because you thought you had to sell that car.
right. Oh, that's true too. Where we have now written the whole thing. That's what you're saying is we've written the scene, everything works out just right, and then they pull out, and we're like, okay, now you have to shoot around the badge of the car because we can't show the car that we wrote the entire scene around. I feel like the nobility of our craft is threatened in this moment.
Luckily, it's noble in so many other ways. Okay, let's get into this week's show.
Hi, Annette.
Hiya.
Hi, this is Jim.
And this is Sam, and thank you so much for coming on our show.
I've been listening and learning, and I really appreciate the time.
I'm going to pretend for a second. This is the first time I've said this, and it's the third, but the story title is Horsehair. And when I found out that Horsehair is actually the name of the main character, I mean, that was beautiful. And I laughed, but also I knew that I had no idea what was coming.
Oh, yeah.
And that's the best part. Because I think, we read so many different things and we watch a lot of things. And the worst thing you can do now, and maybe because we've all consumed so much television because of the pandemic and because there just is so much television. But if I can guess what's coming,
it deflates it a little bit right there.
It really does.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Does that happen for you?
Yeah. So I'm delighted when I'm surprised because I'll think I'll know everything. Like, oh, this cough means this person's dying, and that's you know, it's like that's usually true, but sometimes you're surprised, and that's not the case.
Right.
Yeah.
we have a parlor game in my house, which is I try to guess the next line of dialogue. And I get it. I'm pretty good. I can get it a third of the time sometimes. I only do it if it's inevitable, obviously. But it's not pissing my wife and daughter off yet.
I do that with Lisa all the time. We're watching a show, and I'll be like, "Oh, that guy's going to do this," and then they do that. And it's like, okay.
Well, now you're just showing off. Annette, so you're in Florida.
Yes, Jacksonville.
Yeah, in Jacksonville. So how many? Are there a lot of TV writers in Jacksonville, Florida?
I don't know. I don't think so. I've been here about 2.5 years because my husband's military. So I try to get out into the community a bit. So like creatively, I'm involved with like some comedians and actors and writers. But television writers, I think I would have to start that. I would have to start the crew.
But that's cool that you're in Jacksonville, Florida, and there's still all these creative people, and there's support and groups and ways to get it out. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's something you find out being a military spouse. You move and you think like, oh man, I got to start again. Mm-hmm. But you find your crew. That's kind of the fun part.
How often do you move?
Every 3 years. So this is our third move.
Wow.
We'll probably be moving in a year or so, which hopefully means I can take my show on the road, right? Like all the writing and animating I'm going to be doing when I sell something.
I was thinking you have that advantage. Being an animator, you don't necessarily have to be out here for production, right?
Right.
Yeah, I think it's more like finding like-minded people, like who's going to join me, who can I hire kind of thing.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah, so if I get Horsehair all the way written and I go into production, I would have to find those people, I don't know, or maybe I sell it, right? So it's I don't know.
Or you find those people online and you build this whole community online, and then you take them with you wherever you go. Yeah. Any continent at all. I mean, that's what the new world order is. I mean, I can't remember if I said this in a podcast before, but I was on a panel 100 million years ago, and maybe 15, and a woman stood up and said, "Can I be a TV writer in Maine?" And as I recall it, and I said, basically, no, you can't. You couldn't really do it at all because, first of all, you couldn't take classes as easily. There are no such thing as online classes yet. And second of all, in Maine? No, you do have to move here. And now we're in a gray area. I don't know. And especially for you, all your friends any friends that you want to keep in Florida, you'll keep them so easily if you want to.
Yeah, that's true. The animation that I did sell, I worked on that and produced that during the pandemic, and it was all online.
That's cool.
That's great.
So
are you going to make this regardless of whether or not it sells?
Yes.
Right on.
All right.
That's what it takes.
Yeah, because I want to turn it into 30-minute pilot, but I think I have like a solid 10 minutes to animate. Like I'm proud, like I shouldn't say like I'm proud of it and it's done, but like I feel like I want to show it off, as soon as I can. So I already hired some voice actors, and we, did the scenes, and I want to animate them and get them out because like I want to show people what I'm working on. And if I can do that and I can animate it all myself, like just get it out there,
Sam, we should get into animation. I like this idea of actually being able to make stuff.
That's amazing. I'm thinking about a couple of things. First of all, we need to talk about how unqualified we are to help you with some parts of this before we actually help you,
Yeah.
Which is that we haven't done animation. We've written comedy, but we've never written animation. But I do want to say your house must be amazing because you have your husband coming in from the military, very, very squared away, organization. And then here you are doing animation with, crazy characters. And that sounds like the perfect balance. Does he appreciate it?
Yes, he does. Well, he's creative himself because he's in the military music program.
Oh, right on. That's totally different.
So it's like it's definitely like a weird contrast because he plays guitar for the man, so it's like, it's a military job, but it's music. So there's a lot of contrast there. And he's a musical creative person too. So it's like,
in a uniform.
I think that's a show on itself, honestly.
He plays guitar for the Army? Are you kidding? That's fantastic. We will kill you with rock and roll.
Yeah.
I feel like he's going to do, if he does the Hendrix version of the Star Spangled Banner at the wrong moment, that could go either way.
It could go either way.
And I'm 100% sure he can play it. That might be his theme song, really.
He had to audition with I'm Proud to Be an American like 20 times.
Yeah, of course he did. Of course.
Oh, jeez. Where at least I know I'm free. Whatever that means. So let's talk about your show a little bit. And so tell us the log line, but I just want to say log lines kind of suck too. So you can, don't feel like you're stuck in it. And you already said it's a half-hour pilot, and I just want to say the idea of half hour is a very loose number. Ted Lasso, a show that I love and a lot of people love, and I know Jim really likes, is 30 minutes. But then other, network 30s are 22. So if you did 15 and you're online, is there a difference? What does it mean?
Yeah.
You have more freedom there than we've ever had as writers ever.
Well, and HBO Max is starting up this whole animation division, which should open doors to who knows how long.
That's right.
It might not matter how long it is.
Yeah, we had a meeting over there on a really cool project that Jim, we couldn't even we were having trouble wrapping our heads on because we were working
too many hours.
20 hours a day. We're like, I don't know. Yeah. Take on one more thing. So what's the show about?
The show is about a poor teen girl called Horsehair who gallops everywhere, and she's quiet and neglected and has a shitty home life, but she finally finds her voice in an unlikely art form of Christian death metal. So the pilot...
Would that be like resurrection metal?
So here's the thing. I thought I made up this genre of music, but I guess it exists.
It does.
I guess it exists. Yeah. I thought like screamo, thrasho, metal, but in the name of Christ was something I totally made up, but it does exist. So she's gonna do that. And I think what is sweet about her music is that it's going to be totally sincere. Like she doesn't have any friends, but she has this big portrait of Jesus on her bedroom wall, and she's like relates to it in a way, like, oh, I'm alone, and like she feels like he can understand her pain. So it's going to be very sincere, but it's going to be expressed through this weird screamo way. And the pilot's going to show her like discovering her voice and discovering some old guitar tracks that are left behind by an older sibling that we don't know what happened to, just like his bedroom is abandoned. And so she gets these old tapes and she starts singing over like the guitar sound. And at the end, she performs at her church talent show along to the tape, and everyone's just kind of staring at her and not really clapping. And that ends the show. But she does pick up an unlikely friend because on her way home, she crosses by the bridge, and there's like the bad kid that's like 4 years older than her, and he's like, "What the fuck was that?" And she's like, "I don't know." And then he's like, "Well, keep it up," So it's that kind of sets the tone for like, oh, okay, Horsehair is starting to connect to people, and she's going to get some friends, and then I hopefully see her make music and have a band and maybe get into conflict with like the local mega church who are like super happy and think only music should be done this way. Like, and so who watches the show? I think it would be like teenagers and adults, I think, would find it funny.
I have so many questions, all of them good.
I just want to say we'll be the judge if they're any good. But but second of all, I just want to jump in and say I am blown away by this idea.
Yeah, me too.
And
good.
So interested in this, and I am basically wondering why the hell did she call us?
That was my thought. I'm like, what do you need us for? You're doing great.
This is fantastic.
This is great.
Yeah.
Well, how do you get it beyond the first? You know, like I think you had a tip in one of your episodes to like start with episode 2.
Yeah.
You know, to see how the world is going to play out.
Some people do that.
I really like this idea. I want to treat it right. You know.
Well,
so
I guess to take one step back and just like because it's animation, your world can be anything, literally anything. And when you said she gallops everywhere, that put all kinds of images in my head that I didn't know what to make head or tail of. Is this a grounded, we're dealing with humans walking around in a reality we would recognize kind of animation?
Yes, it would be like King of the Hill type animation.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, okay.
And so when you said gallop, you meant figuratively galloping, is I think what Jim's asking.
Right.
Oh, no, literally. Like she has a weird quirk. So you see her galloping.
Okay, but she has 2 legs and she's running. She's a human being.
She just runs funny.
Yes.
She runs funny.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, that's all.
Funny.
Okay.
That's how I should say it.
I'm like,
Horsehair runs funny. Yeah.
I've got like a death metal centaur in my head here.
And then I went down the road. If she is real, when she's alone and she's running, she sees herself as a death metal centaur. Like she sees that.
Oh yeah, like that could play into her music, like the galloping, like the Iron Maiden type.
The rhythm,
you know, like that could, that could play into her.
That's kind of cool.
But you don't need any of these ideas. Use them, you lose them, whatever. You have so many, and they're great.
That was her idea, so that's helpful.
Okay. Then use that one. That was great. Okay, so what's kicking your ass on this thing? Is it pretty much
what to do next?
It's the series. I mean, the season 1. What is the show more than the story of the pilot?
Yeah. So her conflict can come from her own self-consciousness and like the fact that she doesn't have any friends, and it's also going to come from her mom who doesn't want her to try anything. The house is going to be just her and her mom who lost all the family's money in like a multi-level marketing scheme. And so her mom is like gun shy about anything new, right? Or trying.
She's
like, don't try because you'll fail. So the mom's gun shy about that. And I think another fun detail about the mom is that they lost all their money in a legging scheme, you know, like multi-level marketing leggings.
Leggings?
That's fantastic.
And so all they have to wear are those leggings.
Right, because
like,
they have crates of leggings in the garage or something.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. Yes, so Horsehair's always wearing like those fluorescent leggings, and the mom is too. Like they have to wear.
It's fantastic. That's
Annette, when you start your podcast, I'm going to call you for advice.
Yeah, definitely.
All right.
This is fantastic.
All right.
It's great because it's so specific, by the way.
Yeah.
And it's not the stockings are a visual cue into this backstory that we will constantly be reminded of, and every time they go into a different room of the house or the shed or whatever, it's full of. I mean, so good. So good. And
I was going to say, towards your question of the season and stuff, like, I think seeding in the mystery of the missing sibling and the mystery of the potential friendship with the quote-unquote bad kid and the mom, like, right there you've got 3 things that are very interesting already to play out in a half-hour format. You don't have that much space anyway. Like, that all interests me. And the rival church thing, too. Like, it's great.
So we see some conflict with her mom in the pilot where Horsehair comes home from her fast food job and the mom is like, did you bring any burgers home? And she's like, no, there's no mistake today. And the mom's like, well, just steal some. They won't notice, you know? And like, Horsehair is like, no, I don't, you know. We see that Horsehair is like got integrity in that way. Right. And I think I want the mom to get abusive. I think there needs to be something that really drives Horsehair to start singing metal, other than just being sad and lonely. Like the mom gets abusive and then smacks Horsehair around, and then she goes to her room and slams the door, and that's when she starts. Yeah, that's great. Take it anymore.
That's
you know?
great.
Yeah, and it comes out.
It has to be an action that happens that we see. Not have to be, but that's great if it is. I just want to shine a light on one thing before you keep going, because this is really good. And I have no idea how this got past Jim Dunn. Zero. I think he must have been thinking about something. But did you say the word screamo?
Yes.
Yep.
I believe so.
It's emo, screamed emo. That is that's what it's screamo. I've never heard the word screamo.
It's that kind of.
I know what it is. As soon as you say it, I know what it is. But I'm like, have you ever heard screamo?
No, I haven't heard the term. I assumed it was a term. I just didn't know, though.
Oh, yes. And I thought for sure you'd be like, oh, my God, what a beautiful word.
I assumed it was pre-existing, and I just didn't know.
It is, yes. But I'm like, oh, my, yes, beautiful. And you didn't invent that, I assume?
I don't think I did.
Okay.
No, I don't think I did.
No,
okay.
Jay is shaking his head. No, it does exist.
Okay, good.
I have a question.
Yeah.
What are you going to do in the middle between her starting playing death metal and playing for the
church?
The church. And one of the things and before we get into that, what I'm worried about is we're meeting a main character. We only have 2 characters, and I'm sure you'll tell us some more, but we're meeting the main guy in the last scene. Or not a main guy.
Well, we meet him in the middle, actually.
Oh, we meet him in the middle. Okay, so that concert is in the middle.
Well, no, I can tell you a scene.
Oh, yeah. Okay, great.
Yeah.
I understand.
I can tell you a scene. A quick synopsis. It starts off with Horsehair at her fast food job, and her 2 fake friends come along through the drive-thru and order food from her, but then somehow get Horsehair to pay for it. And then they mock her and say, thanks, Horsehair. And like, nay, and those are like, and Horsehair puts up with it because she doesn't know any better. She thinks that's how friends are, and her coworkers like some friends.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, we always joke around like that. She's done with her shift and she gallops home. We see her running funny, I should say. She runs in her funny way home.
You can say gallops. We just had questions. That's all. It's great. It's so great. We're both grinning ear to ear. This is time.
Yes. She gallops home in her fast food uniform, and on her way down her street, she sees this pale, scrawny little kid tapping a basketball. And this is where Horsehair, we see another side of Horsehair, aware of the pecking order of kids. She goes up to this kid and goes like, homeschool, eating glue, sniffing glue. And she starts making fun of this pale, scrawny kid.
Right.
And then while she's doing this, the garage opens up. The older kid, Derek, comes out, and he's like, get the fuck out of here, stretch pants. Don't make fun of my brother. Do. And so Horsehair sees him, and he's like, oh my God, my game's over, or I'm caught or something. And she gallops away quickly. So we do meet Derek, and I call him Derek.
And he's the scrawny kid.
Derek is the cool older kid.
Right. Does the scrawny kid, is he just a day player? Does he show up again, or is he just one-off kind of thing?
He's I guess he would be a bit player. Derek is the older brother who's protected of the scrawny kid.
Right.
Okay.
Horsehair makes fun of him.
So right now
we'll see Derek more.
So we have 3 characters really steady right now. Horsehair,
Mom, Horsehair, and
Derek and Mom. Yeah.
Yes, and then the other more steady characters are the 2 characters I call the twins. They're not real friends, but
clearly we need to make them her slaves later in the season.
Yeah. Or they get jealous, or then they start to, whatever. There could be a lot of conflict there where they realize they need Horsehair too because they need someone to pick on, and maybe they get jealous when Horsehair gets attention or is doing something for herself. They could sabotage her in some way, or I think they could be useful.
Well, I have a question I think that will help you with the series, the whole season and series, and it's very specific. It's about a scene. Why does she do the concert at the church?
How does that happen?
Yes, that is great. I thought that in the beginning, when the twins go through the fast food line, that they say, Horsehair, we're on our way to practice for the church talent show. You can't be on our team, though. You're too fat. It puts a bug in Horsehair's ear to be on that show. Maybe she wants to, that is a good, I don't know if she's a revenge type, I'm going to do it too, but maybe it puts a bug in her ear that she wants to do it to show them up a little, or just.
There's a lot of good answers to that. I'm not saying there's one. Answering that question as to why she wants to do it, even if she fails, by the way, and maybe even especially if she fails, that's her. That she's now for the first time I see her drive. Right. I understand.
Yes.
I understand that there's 2 flavors of pain here. You got the mom pain and the brother pain,
and the bad friends pain, and the sort of empty life pain. Right.
Right.
I mean, it feels like this is her butterfly moment. She's in her chrysalis, and this is her coming out in a way.
And because your show is such a, you hit a lot of minor notes, which is great. They're off, they're not where you think they're going to go. She doesn't get anything from the doing it, right? Except Derek becomes her friend in some way after that. And that's all good. But the question is, what was she hoping for? Because whatever it is she's hoping for, I think that thing can be the thing that now I understand her character, and that's what's driving her through the season.
Yeah.
And the fact that you don't know that is probably because that's why you don't know. It's a chicken egg.
Well, what does she want?
Yeah, it's what does she want to do?
Yeah.
What is driving her? And you're so good at picking the non-obvious thing. Honestly, if you pick the obvious thing here, it would be so you wouldn't notice that it was regular because everything else is so outrageous and by the way, coherent. It's coherent.
It's really coherent,
but outrageous. Which is really hard. And it's not you throwing stuff that sticks to a wall. That's not how it feels to me at all.
No.
It feels like, nope, that's all consistent with her. Man, it's so cool.
Okay.
And
so I was thinking that like Horsehair's drive would be when she first like utters the screamo word, like the relief she felt, like it felt good to sing. So maybe she feels like it feels good to sing. So I'm going to keep singing because it feels good. Is that enough of a drive? I mean, but the reason to be in a talent show, because she could sing alone in her room all she wants.
Right.
She needs a reason to be in public.
I mean, there's something, it feels to me like you've put her in kind of a bottle, right? Like she feels very isolated. She has false friends that we recognize as false friends. Her mom is abusive, or she's got a missing father who doesn't really come up, like whoever that was. She's living in this hollow sphere of a world, and the idea that she wants to be heard and seen feels baked into all of this. Like it feels a part of it. It's really just a question of like, is that her intention when she does that? Does she know that's what she wants? And then what happens after she does that beyond just the bad kid sort of acknowledging her? Are there more repercussions? And then what is it like for her who has never had real friends, it sounds like, or been recognized or been seen, to then have that experience?
I would throw in a couple things that might help a little, or tell me if they do. Number one, if this was a regular television show, and I mean regular, not necessarily animated, not animated, but I would say to Jim, and then the little boy at the end says, I can find your brother. Right? And then now I know what the show's about. And that's a cheat, and it's cheap, and it works 90% of the time. It always works. In fact, our very first pilot, we were working with a dude who
Michael Pillar.
Yeah, Michael Pillar, who was the showrunner and creator of a few Star Trek series. Very accomplished dude, written a ton of stuff. And he listened to the whole thing, and at the end, and he says, the one thing I'm going to add is the one character who's been doing some stuff picks up a phone and says, I'm in. And I was like, what the hell does that mean? But I loved it because it was such a huge question. It was an open
door to what the hell does that mean?
Right. So I'm only using that to illustrate that if you did something where, because she did the song, she earned the respect of this guy who then says, I can give you something that you want, and now I know what it is. And now the question is, this is a quest for the brother, over which you may never find. Now that is that's a little external, because I would have to know, what is she hoping for by meeting her brother? And so the most important thing for me at that moment is, in those kinds of things, is to understand, because she did something, it furthered her desire line. It helped her in some way. It's not closed off in this episode.
Can I? Yeah. I just want to jump in on that for a second, because what I was thinking before you went down that road is that, it sounds like you're targeting this at a, roughly teen YA audience.
Or adults, she said, yeah.
Well, I'm leaning into that, right? Because there's, in the nature of the show, it's in some ways a superhero show. What you have, the basic format of a superhero is, it's a parallel to the teen experience of hitting puberty and you become transformed, right? And you have this woman who is a young woman who's basically inert, and she has this moment that is transforming her, and she is gaining a superpower in a way, which is this ability to sing, and it changes her world, and it takes her out into a new and different world where she is experiencing having a power that she never had before, which is to get attention, to, whatever that is. And it feels to me like that's, in some way, that is at the core of what the story is that you're telling here. And it's not that Sam's wrong, and because that's, as he said, it's a little external, right? It's the specific detail of, well, it's a sort of plot-driven mystery or whatever. I guess what I'm wondering about is more, what is her experiential path going forward, having cracked open this piece of herself that she never knew before, having this new experience, it's going to change the way she relates to her mother, her fake friends, whether she's asking questions about her missing sibling and what happened to him. All that sort of stuff, that feels to me like a productive area to dig, to look for the specifics of what's going to come next for her.
Mm-hmm.
Did any of that make sense to you? That was a lot of words.
Yeah. Well, she'll start thinking of life outside of her working class town, and she'll start thinking there's more to her. There could be more to her life than fast food and stretch pants, and
right.
Well, she's going to experience being seen by people differently than she has been seen up until now.
Yes.
Or she sees herself differently.
Or both.
Well,
right,
but it's any one of these.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just saying it's going to feed off of itself in what sounds like to me like she's going to recognize that the twins are fake friends, not real friends. Like there's pieces like that feel like they're available to her if she's growing like this.
What do you think, Annette? What's banging out? What's messing up, and what sounds like in my work? What do you think? Or did it give ideas?
Well, I feel like the homework I need to give myself is that drive. I have her sing at the church talent show, but what makes her sing in public? And that will carry out in future episodes. I guess I didn't really think that hard about it. I was like, she's going to find out she can sing and then she'll sing, but I didn't really dig deep into the why. But like, once I figure that out, it'll be easy to make decisions for her because I know she's going after this certain thing. And I think with ending the episode with Derek, the older teen, saying like, well, don't stop, keep it up.
Good.
Like, that was like, it's like I never thought of him as like a romantic interest for her, but like it actually could be down the line.
Right. That's interesting.
I think that's compelling. Like there could be like a love element between two unlikely people. And
I like the twins too, by the way, because the thing with the twins, I would love them to not just be bullies. I would love for them to be also a little cool in some ways too, because I don't, it's just, it'll add some dimensionality. And then when they're little assholes, sometimes it'll be funnier and mean something more to me because it's not their only note. And so they show up to help, but they're still assholes about it. You know what I mean? Yeah. Keep it. And I think that'll give you a deeper well to draw water from with them. And also, you only have these 3 characters, so now you have 5. And as opposed, because real characters as opposed to, and if you want to have a real bully, you could have them too, and you don't have to develop them. You can just let them be that dude or that woman, or girl, I should say. In this case.
And it's interesting that she chooses to express herself through Screamo. That sounds like a lot of anger coming out. And in that original concert, she's taking the cork out of that bottle.
Yeah.
So what's going to happen? Like, because I don't think you get that cork all the way back in, and that might be part of what Derek is reacting to, right? Is like he's seen her expose herself in a way she has not. Like there's more to her, and she's letting it free, and that's something. Maybe that's what makes him a bad kid. Is he knows how to speak in a way that she can't. He acts out, speaks out.
Well, what do we see when she is doing this? Her performance. What does that look like to you?
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's going to be like really understated. Like even because like picture this, she's at the wings and she walks out with her stretch pants and overcoat. And then she pulls her boombox out and hits play on the tape. And then like the tape is like this fuzzy guitar track, and like she doesn't move. She's just like standing in front of the mic, like a totem pole, but just singing this crazy metal.
Right.
And the congregation is just going to be staring at her like, oh my God. Like, and we're going to close up on the twins' faces who are like laughing. Derek's going to be staring.
Well, what is
some like the adults are going to be like bewildered, like different expressions from characters.
I think this scene, and I love so much of this, but the idea of a girl going up in a school talent show and doing her thing and nobody really connecting to it, that's, I think you could go do another layer on that. I mean, you're so creative. For example, I'll just use this is just an example. If we switch to her POV and it out there looks completely different. It's not the church. It's by the way, it's
her inner life being expressed in some way.
Yeah, or right, it's her and Jesus. Or it's you might think the music is so abrasive and loud and all that kind of stuff, but actually what she's seeing is this beautiful really faithful, because that's the person you're describing. It's beautiful in a weird, twisted way that only Annette DeLorean can come up with, and that I could never possibly come up with.
It's her passion.
It's her passion, and we're seeing it right, and it's twisted, right?
And like animation could really serve that, because I could draw her point of view where like Jesus is all like flowery and like has fire around him, and then she starts igniting the conversation or the congregation in fire.
Yeah.
like she could like have this artistic point of view. That could be drawn in a really cool way.
And that's what all I'm trying to get is what's happening in her POV is so different than what's happening in everybody else's POV in the room.
Mm-hmm.
And yet her thing is not, even though they're hearing this weird death metal, this is terrible work, of the devil, it's actually to her not. She's not having the devil.
Yeah.
This is her variation on it. And I love that because it tells me so much about everybody there. In those kinds of ways.
Yeah, that's a really good idea, and that will play well in animation, to have her looking out on something like really artistic and wild happening.
Yeah.
As she's expressing this.
Well, it opens the door. If you start using that sort of a tool with the character and the way things are expressed and letting us inside her heart, then all kinds of things can happen. As I'm sure you have a very active imagination and you're an artist, so I think you will see all those doors that open up. But like that adds a whole dimension to the entire show. And
it's like her connection with Jesus, and you picked Screamo / with the Christian element to it. Why? And the idea that right? Why that?
I thought it was a really good contrast to have something like, I'm only familiar with like gospel, and I didn't know there was a genre of heavy metal thrash Christian music. But so it was the contrast that drew me. But on another note, I thought that her being so isolated, and that the image of Jesus with like the bloody crown of thorns, to me is very metal.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like a bleeding. He's bleeding, and he has this crown of thorns on his head. Like that's like very metal to me, and I thought that would play into it too, where this person or Horsehair feels like he can relate to her pain.
Did you ever watch Friday Night Lights, Annette?
No, I didn't. No.
Great series if you ever get to it. But one of the main characters, Jesse Plemons, who's gone on to act in a lot of other things. I forget the name of the character, but he was in a Christian metal band called Crucifixtorious. I actually have a T-shirt that says Crucifixtorious.
Okay.
And what's so cool about this is the idea, as you rightly said, the throne, the crown of thorns and the blood is so metal. And the thing is, I'm a Jew. Jim was raised.
I'm a retired Catholic.
Yeah, but his parents were extremely devout and faithful people, and yet, from my perspective, it was always like, wait, this religion celebrates the death, the brutal murder of a man at the hands of an oppressive society, and then and they watch him die slowly. I mean, it's very graphic, and that's what you're tying into with this person, and yet it's graphic, but also filled with love, theoretically. I mean, that's the foundation of so much of it. It's a great contrast, and she embodies that, and it's really interesting. Yeah,
I think it'll be like such a way to have like some comedy too, because
and that's what makes you, Annette. That was a great response.
Well, I mean, every episode could have a song.
Right.
And it's just kind of weird. And I was even thinking, because like I'm Catholic, and there's like an emphasis on the Virgin Mary, and I was even thinking like Horsehair could like give birth on stage.
Yeah, sure. Of course
like,
you would.
Like it would be such a metal, like it would be like pageantry, and like people would get offended. But like to her, it's sincere. Like it's something she's doing in a sincere way. It'll always be sincere.
It's only in her point of view experience of it.
You could do it too.
Yes, that's true. Yeah.
All right,
and the animation could be wild for that. Yeah.
All right, so this is a ton of fun to talk about, but I got to tell you, we still have not helped you find your story engine. Which
here's
is what
the
I think
thing.
you came for.
I feel like what I've written is about 15 minutes. You don't feel like I need to stretch it to 22 or 30. Shouldn't I do that to show people I can do that? Like that's to conform to that?
I can't really speak to that. But
it needs to be the size story that feels like it's telling you what
it just
you
has to
have.
be good, because if people see that you can do 15 or 20 great minutes once or twice, then of course you can do it. With a writer, with more you can be like, let's stretch the stories out, and you could do that. I would just make it great. The thing is, that's a piece of cake. That's all you gotta do. Just make it great. It's easy. But I'm talking about the story engine as a problem still, because you've got her point of view in terms of how she feels, and that she's obviously a cauldron inside, and she's got all these stressors on all different sides, and she's getting to that place, and she expresses herself. But I still don't know what specifically she wants. It doesn't, it could be, it could be as lame, and this is a terrible example, but it could be as lame as she wants to be the prom queen. I don't care. It doesn't have to be Find My Brother. It doesn't have to be some huge, X-Files kind of thing. It can be small to me, but not to her. And then I know that is her goal. And once you said, for example, using this terrible example I know you'll never pick, but and you shouldn't, but of being the prom queen, there are so many steps along the way, and that's a whole season right there. Just her, trying to figure out a dress is an episode. Just her trying to figure out who she's going to take is an episode. Or she's got to be in get elected prom queen. It's just you pick all those things into bite-sized pieces, and with this insanely great world that you've created, you can attack each one of those problems in a completely different way that I haven't seen before with this awesome character.
And
okay, so here's my thought: can her motive come after her first performance?
If you move
because when I was little and there was like a church talent show, we were just signed up for it and told to do it. So right. I don't remember having been like, oh, I must do this talent show. Like, you were signed up and you play the piano, so that's why I put her in the talent show. I just thought, well, Horsehair is going to be in it because that's what everyone in the community does. They do the talent show.
Right. That's fine.
But it needs to be more than that. It needs to be more than that to make it interesting.
If you have more than the 15 minutes, right? If your 15-minute mark where she does the thing and then you do go to 30, yes, that'll work.
The thing that I think Jim's saying that I'm agreeing with is the problem is if you put the concert at the end, even if it's the second to last scene, then I don't know what she wants the whole episode. And then you're and that's a common problem in pilots. In the initial conception, we hear it a lot, which is that's when the story gets crazy. And I'm like, wait a minute, I want that earlier, because now I want to see, now I know more about this person. I know what she wants. And then what's the next step?
Okay.
And the thing for me coming out of that moment of the concert, and it's where it could be that's where she sort of discovers a want, is I'm very curious about the repercussions of that concert, because it feels like a transformative moment for her to open her mouth and have a voice, because it doesn't feel like she has one until then. And so then to find out she's got, I don't know, a shitty idea, a groupie. Or she's got fans, or the big church comes and says, will you come play at our church? Or I don't know what it is, right? That doesn't quite fit in the story you've told. But it feels like there's some repercussion that then makes her realize and want something. Like, she already wants it, and now she realizes she's got a shot at it. Right. It changes her perception of herself in some way and gives her a new goal, or it makes her believe she can attain the goal that she's always had. Right. And she expresses that to somebody. I'd love to see how her mother reacts to this whole thing.
Yeah, I was thinking like to put the concert in the middle might serve better, because then we can see her walk all the way home, how her mom reacts. Her mom doesn't go, of course, and
her mom doesn't go. Man, that's cold. That's awesome.
I was thinking her mom wouldn't go.
But she could have gotten the call about what happened, or be sent a video if you want that. I feel like, and there's going to be a lot of heads nodding because this is such a common writer thing, is I feel like sometimes you have this really cool event and you have it in the back end of the script, and then you're kind of, as you're writing, you're like, no, hang out. It's going to get really cool in a minute. This incredible thing's coming up. Don't pay no attention that not a lot's happening right now, but it's because it's going to get so cool. But you can't do that, of course. You want to stack cool on top of cool on top of cool, which doesn't mean...
On top of cool. What if when she came home, the mom was like, music killed your brother or something? Or like...
Yeah, I mean, that's insane.
Or like music's the reason your brother's not here. Like, I don't know if he's dead or not, but like music affected the family in a bad way, or like the reason the father's gone or something.
That's a good turn.
Yeah.
That's unexpected, and that's a turn, and now I understand why her mother didn't want her to do it or why she's so disappointed in this or whatever it is. But then what you're basically setting up is the quest for the brother. And so if that's what you want, that my terrible idea, if you want to use that, then you need to go back to the beginning and see how every scene it's not about the brother. Don't get me wrong. It's not you have to picture the brother. I'm just saying the brother's disappearance has really hurt this family in some way. You see the way it's hurt the family along the way, and then she finds out because she did this thing out of that hurt. She got a clue as to her brother for the first time, and now she might think, if I only could find my brother, I won't hurt as much, And that's the underlying thing that she's doing.
And that's the real. I mean, the two questions. There's a character thing of looking at the character's past and what is the thing that wounded them that they're carrying around that's now getting in their way that keeps them from doing the things they want to do. And it feels like this concert is a moment of her transcending her own block in some way, but it begs the question of what is it that she wants so much that this is the answer to. And having had the concert, then what does that mean for what she wants now?
Yeah.
Like, is she now able to voice the things that she wants? Does that lead to conflict with her mom? Like, I feel like a lot of the questions that we go to are sort of our drama questions that are a little outside the bounds of this half-hour animated world. But the emotional truth is the same. We need to know what she wants and what's in the way of that. And you will come out with fascinating ways to explicate that, to show us what that is, but I'm still not clear on what they are.
I think the questions are the same.
I think it would be and I think it would be her getting better, not better at singing, but like really pursuing singing and bringing it into her life because it makes her world bigger. And then soon she gets a band. Soon maybe the band will travel, but it's not going to happen in like 2 episodes. Like her world's going to grow. And then her mom will feel threatened, like another sibling's going to leave.
No, that's all great. That's all great.
Yeah.
It's funny because
that's still not it. It's
it can be it. But the thing we keep going to is, what is her problem? And her problem can't just be, I'm an unhappy teenager. It has to be more specific to her. I am an unhappy teenager, and this is my problem. This is how specifically it's messing me up.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Ooh,
like
that's
a desire for friends, and that could even place into the Jesus thing because Jesus had apostles, and she thought
desire for friends.
Jesus with people all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's great, and the fact that this has opened the door with Derek, right? Like he kind of approves of her now. That would be transformative for her.
Yeah, it is. That's
right?
huge.
Yeah.
So in this case, we need to. So here's the simple arc on this thing. Just pitching. In the beginning, she wants friends, but they all shit on her.
Right. She has 2 shitty friends.
She has 2 shitty friends, and she tries to make a friend with someone else, and it doesn't work. And then her mother, who's definitely not her friend, signs her up for this goddamn church thing. So she goes there to destroy all friends. Right. There's no one that will ever fucking talk to her if she
the
ever.
only friend she has is Jesus.
Well, okay, but what I'm saying is that's not what I was saying. What I was saying is she's there to say F you to everybody there because she's not going to have friends. And as a result of doing that, she gets a friend in Derek. Right?
Yeah, so that would be the irony, right?
Well, it's not just the irony, actually. No, it is ironic, but it's more about in that moment she did something she has not done before, which is she revealed a piece of her true self, and that's what got her. That's what got her the friend, and I think that's cool.
And that's the thing in we talked about the image of the song, but what is the song? What is she saying? Right?
Oh, I've got the song. I've got it. It's funny.
It just feels like it needs to be part of this thing, right?
Yeah.
Like in a way, she's condemning those who isolate her, like in however that is, or Jesus is the path to actually having some sort of friend and comfort because the world is full of shit.
Or
whatever
Jesus
that is.
didn't need any friends.
Right.
Or pick your thing.
Yeah.
She doesn't have to be right about
it. The lyrics reflect that. The lyrics are like how the world is scorning her, but Jesus is her rock.
Yeah.
And
right.
So, yeah.
Just stay on. If it's the Friends theme, just make sure you get that. That's the lens that you're looking
right.
through.
Right. That is the rope you hold on to all the way through.
Yeah.
So I need to, or I should put a scene where her mom. We see that she's forced to do the talent show. It's not just.
Well, it's up to you.
She wants to do it. It's up to me.
Yeah, because if it's a good scene, great. The thing is,
it could be her mom doesn't want her to do it, but after her mom hits her about it or whatever, she goes and does it out of defiance.
Yeah, it's up to you. You don't. It's not an obligation. We're just trying to push you to say, okay, in this version, and you can pick anything you want. Obviously, it's your show, and you're killing it on so many levels. Yeah. Is just the want can be that simple. It doesn't have to be I want to cure cancer. It can just be I want a friend. And then as a result of wanting a friend, it gets in the way of her getting a friend, and she rejects all that stuff, and she's in a lot of pain, and then she gets a friend because she did the thing that was supposed to get rid of all her friends, but she got one. Yeah. Right? Right.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the first.
And now
that's story.
That's a story. And so the story engine, if I were to say, okay, if I were to say to you, what's the story engine for the season? Do you have a sense of what that might be now?
I think she would come into her own, and she would by the end we would learn what her real name is, and she would also lose the galloping quirk. Well,
okay, but that's why is she learning that? Why is she losing that?
Because I think it's.
I mean, that goes against what I thought you were going to say, which is, she learns galloping is who she is. And she basically got up and said, fuck you, I'm this way. And then, so she gallops. Yeah. And then I would say people start galloping too.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I have a
You're basically saying,
I don't know. I thought
finally, in the end, she becomes like every other person in the world. That is not.
No, that's
Come
on,
right.
Annette.
Right.
I don't want that.
No, I was going to say
no.
Her story engine is her putting together her friends.
Right. She's the savior of the weirdos. Like, I want her to accumulate.
Yeah. You're right.
So now she becomes, now you're almost saying like, if we had Breaking Bad, you had the meek guy who becomes the king of the drug dealers. Now this is a girl who becomes queen of the misfits,
and queen of the weirdos.
And I want them all to have to buy her mom's leggings to be part of the crew.
Yeah,
right. I mean,
oh, dude, yeah.
There's so many.
She has like 12 apostles.
Yeah,
in leggings. Yeah, that follow her around.
Yeah,
I mean, this could go in 90 directions. You see how that one little easy, misleadingly obvious and easy thing, she wants friends, can now mushroom into like any direction.
And her mom's trying to exploit them, market her, whatever.
Her mom doesn't want her to have friends because she wants her to herself, even though all she does is abuse her. But then when she sees that that she does get friends,
or that she's successful with this music thing, how is she going to make money off of that?
Right, she's the one who tries to make money using.
I'm
her
your
friends.
manager.
There's so many.
You're a minor.
You see.
Yeah.
Wow.
Annette. We knew this was good.
I look forward to watching this in a year on Comedy
I really
Central.
do. Can we link to your short movie on our show?
Yes, absolutely.
Is it on YouTube or something?
Do you mean the Punk Rock Yoga Bitch?
Yes.
Yes, please, please do.
We're going to link to your
Punk Rock Yoga Bitch versus the Goat Demon.
Of course.
Of course. Of course. Annette, this is all going to work. You're going to do great.
Yeah,
you have great instincts.
I'm so encouraged.
Yeah.
I'm so encouraged. Thank you. I've got my work cut out for me, but I'm really excited. And I so appreciate the advice. Like, it's clearing up a lot.
No, thank you for making me now. I mean, I'm going to have to tell my family about this tonight.
It made my whole afternoon. This is great. You're going to do fine.
Yeah. Jacksonville's lucky to have you, for sure.
Oh, thank you.
All right. Thanks. It's been a total pleasure.
All right.
Thanks, Annette.
Thank you. Okay. Bye-bye.
And that's all we've got for you this week. Our producer, J.R. Zamora-Thal, is working the mixing board.
Our logo was designed by Julien Debar-Monclair, and our music was provided by Bouderays out of Austin, Texas.
If you want to get in touch, we are at The Sam and Jim on Instagram and Twitter, and you can find us on Facebook and YouTube as The Writers' Room with Sam and Jim.
And if you like hanging out in the room with us, give us a follow on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
And tell a friend, would you, so we can get JR paid. Thanks, everyone. See you next week.